Hello, hello. We're back again, your favorites podcasters and our dear Uncle Henry. And we're doing, yet another episode. And this is Henry will introduce this episode.
New name alert, Uncle Henry. That actually sounds better than saying Henry. Because when you say Henry, it's just a one syllable thing. It doesn't, well, I know it's not one syllable, but it's just a very flat two syllable. But fair. Uncle Henry, let's clap for that.
Uncle.
But anyways.
Wait, Uncle Henry, let's clap for you. Let's clap for
Okay, fine. Fair. Anyways, today's episode is a shorter episode because we said we're doing long episode, short episode. And from the grapevine, from the last episode, no one could hear me. That's my apologies. We'll try to work on that. We'll see what we can do, but hopefully you can hear me this time. Today's episode is a short episode, so it's a very short conversation, I hope, about...
Yeah, it has to be.
It has to be, okay, 15 minutes. And you put me on check. 15 minutes, no going more than that.
Okay, so the ideas behind the 15-minute episodes is mostly social commentary based off of things that are happening out there and we're seeing out there. So
yeah. Okay, so today, who do we have on our blast? It is Idris Elba. Idris Elba said he is no more a black... He not say he's no more a black man.
I don't think that's how he said it.
He said he's no more a black actor.
No. That's not... Yeah, that's the better way of saying that. It's not that he's no longer a black actor. It's he's saying he does not want to describe himself as a black actor.
Yes, and as you know, based on people that are woke in this world from our last conversation, everybody is having their opinions and having a fuss about it. If I have to start, if I have to go, if I have to say anything, I understand where it's coming from. It is not an outlandish claim to not want to be, because I think I looked a little bit deeper into it, and it's basically saying a white actor does not necessarily say is a white actor. A white business owner does not say is a white business owner. They are just business owners. They are just actors, or they are just whatever, doctors, or like whatever. Even within that, you could also see in other fields, like in the medicine field, or I don't know actually, but I actually never heard black doctor being a thing, because there are a lot of black doctors, based on the fact that most black people or African parents wanted to be a doctor and engineer. but that's his point. So to me, I don't know where the force is coming from. I understand him, but there are some people that are woke to this idea that they don't want it. He has to be a black actor and referred to as such.
Just before we continue, you know how much I love my disclaimers. Everything we say again, of course, is based off of our own opinions and our understanding of experiences that we've we have been through. But yeah, I have to do it. I can't help it.
Okay. Yeah.
Good intention as well. Said with good intention, we recognize that good intention does not mean the recipients or receiving it also comes with good intention. Sometimes receiving good intention is not what it all comes out to be.
We get it. I hope you all understand, but we get it. So anyways, that's what our topic for today is. We are going to discuss it. But for me, I want to discuss it.
Okay. First of all, so a couple things came to me, which I probably will forget as I'm talking. And while you were talking, off the bat, I should say Idris Elba is amongst the many loves of my life.
Yeah,
he's top 5.
He's top 5. He's top 5.
He's top 5.
He's top 5. Idris Elba, the actual person that you are with, okay.
You put yourself before Rihanna.
Anyways, go ahead.
Wow. Okay. So I do agree with you. I have a very interesting opinion around the whole concept of differentiating yourself as based off of your skin color or whatever situation is, or your race, your racial identity in that sense. I absolutely agree with him where it's like classifying yourself as a black actor tends to do this thing where you're being put in a box where it's like a lot of like black artists and black actors within like, Hollywood or whatever, you tend to see a trend where it's like you take on roles for a black person in the movie in that sense, versus just like being in a role that, okay, it's a role in a community. I can be a community member. I don't have to be representing some kind of like black agenda in that sense, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I absolutely agree with him where it's like, it's your profession. It's not, that's why I said it's not that he's saying he doesn't want to be a black actor. It's that he is an actor. His description, he's an actor. He's an actor who has done action movies. He's an actor who has done romantic movies. He's an actor who has done thriller movies. He can be all of those things. But the main thing is still he is an actor, right?
Well, yes. Okay, now that I'm really thinking about it, in as much as I agree with him, I don't have any objection on what he said. But now that I think about it, I feel like there is some. So, as Africans, we tend to see most of these racial things a little bit different because I would admit that it's kind of a new thing to us, especially those who move from Nigeria and then you come here. It's kind of like, it's new. It's a new topic or a new way of seeing things. So here is how I'll kind of dull it down a little bit. If you look at the Nigerian movie industry, for example, I'm just using that as an example. There are actors that say that they're classified as Yoruba actors, right? Like, there's Yoruba movies, there's a Yoruba movie industry, and there's like Yoruba actors. It doesn't necessarily stop them from acting in regular Nollywood movies, but their main niche, well, that's where they focus on, is mainly on Yoruba movies and portraying those roles. Right? So for them, I'm just dulling it down a little bit. For them, it's different because they grew up in a society where theirs is not whether you're Yoruba or you're Igbo or you're Ichekiri, whatever tribe you are in Nigeria. Theirs is more, it's either you're black or you're white. It's not tribal.
Is that a fair thing to say given how tribalistic the country of Nigeria is? Like, Nigeria is divided in many senses.
But that's the best way we can explain it or dull it down to that level. Well, it's not even a dull down. It's basically the same thing to an extent.
It is. To an extent, it is. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's not like... So classifying yourself as a black actor doesn't actively stop you from being in other roles.
It doesn't.
Well, it doesn't. And one of the things he said is that it just creates a box. Like, it creates a box where it's like things have to be filled in, where it's like, okay, I'm an actor. It's kind of like, you know how when you apply for a job and like say you have like a more English name, so like yourself. Actually, that's so true. Most your names sometimes are very like,
I know. All my three names. But anyways.
I just realized that actually, yeah. So like when you apply for a job and such, where it's like, oh, actually, based off of a real story, I heard someone's telling me how like, their partner, being a black person, had like a fairly English name, applied for a job, got to the interview, and they were surprised that they were black.
It happens to me sometimes when I work in. You're the guy.
Yeah, and it's like in theory, when you apply on a clean slate, you're not judged by your ethnicity. You're not judged by, okay, wait, we're meeting a quota by this kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Or like, it's like, okay, I have applied for a job. The name that you're seeing is just a neutral name, right? They're not thinking, okay, this person could do something better just because they're black. I've had that where it's like, I've gone for like job interviews. I'm being told, oh, you're black. You must be from a village. You'd be perfect for the role. Kind of
what
thing.
What kind of job interview is that?
Well,
are you
we've gone through this before. We've gone through this before. But it's like, if I'm considered as my profession, I'm considered as a doctor. The expectation is that you're trusting that I have the knowledge as a doctor.
Yeah,
to help.
not as a black doctor. Yeah.
Not as a black doctor. It is true. And this was the other thing that came up when you first did your little introduction. And it's like, unfortunately, and this is that kind of goes into that woke culture. Well, I guess not really woke culture, but like it's our new culture where it's like we're now describing a lot of things based off of like our cultural ethnicity. I do follow this I follow this black doctor on one of social medias who his whole thing is, I've gone through the medical system and the basic things that are described in the medical system do not always apply to black people. Which is something okay, something that like, you know, you've probably experienced it, but I experienced it like when we went to like the first time I did like a medical in this country. They called me back and they were like, your iron is so low, and I'm freaking out, which makes sense because you know I am being low. But turns out like it's low based off of the North American standard, but not based off of like the Nigerian standard of it. Like I'm still healthy. Yeah. But it was just like the doctor I was talking to just had no idea. So while I 100% agree with Idris Elba and I will stand with him wherever he is and wherever he goes. But anyways, okay.
We have 15 minutes. We have 15 minutes. We have 15 minutes. Okay.
I guess my question is there a space for that niche description of our professions in terms of being able to address the needs of people within those communities that do not fall within the generalized idea of it? I don't think acting is one of those things, because at the end of the day, we act and it's like, I'm an actor. If I'm playing a role of a person in the community, I can be that. If it's a detective, there's black detectives out there. If it's a black movie, then that's a different thing. But like in general idea of like professions, like the medical system, or that's the only thing I can think about right now. But like that representation, is there a role of having that niche description of our identities in spaces to ensure that there's some form of collaboration and making so that like, you know, people feel like they're not alone. So like in professions where like you don't really see black people in professions, like you start to feel like, okay, if I was a black person who wanted to be like, I don't know, like a race, no, there's black race car drivers, something, position, and you don't generally see black people in there. Is it okay for the black people that are in it to come together and describe themselves as black professionals so that way there's more of a representation in it? And then that also leads to the conversation of like, is there an importance in the Black History Month? But, you know, I have different opinions about that one too, but we also have 2 minutes. So please go ahead.
Yeah, so I agree with most of the things you said. I totally think there is a room for that, what do you call it? That, it's not a niche because there's a lot of black people, but that's categorization to be formed in some sectors. Because the reason why this is a conversation because it's in the entertainment industry. And I feel like this is more prominent in the entertainment industry than any other industry, because you don't see it, you don't hear about it a lot in most other industries, except like you are in a country where, anyhow, the point I'm trying to say is this is very prominent in the entertainment industry for a reason. And I think you're right. In the medical field, I completely agree where there is a room for something like that. There is a room to say, oh, maybe some group of people just come in and say, we are all, like, just say, for example, in Canada, some group of people come, you don't even have to be black, but let's say we are focusing on taking care of the needs of black people in terms of medicals. Because as a Nigerian coming to Canada, your medical needs are very slightly different. There are a lot of things that a lot of Canadian doctors don't know about you. I've been to hospitals before and I've fully diagnosed myself, like not fully diagnosed myself, or fully medicated myself upon the fact that the doctor had no idea of what to give me. Right? But that's a story for another day. But also, one thing I wanted to say before we round this up is I also think us as a society do not do ourselves any good, and sometimes are the reason for conversations like this to even happen. Because if you look at let's look at what's that Disney princess that was black recently?
The Mermaid, Little Mermaid.
Yeah. So if you look at that scenario, for example, Idris Elba, just say Idris Elba was a woman. I'm just trying to say there's a Disney prince that's white that Idris Elba takes a role of, right? So that conversation alone is just what would now bring people to say, "Oh, I'm a black actor," because your roles. I don't know how to explain. It's like expecting a white person to play a role or a role that was for say I die, say I become famous and I die, and they want to do like autobiography on me, for example, or whatever, and they want to air it. If a white person plays me, there's going to be outrage.
Because
Correct?
you're not a white person.
Yes, because I'm not a white person. But now that you're saying I'm an actor, that means I can play that role, black or white.
No, that's
Correct
not.
or no?
No. Technically,
It's not
no.
fair?
So wait. No, that's not fair in terms of like if you're
But
doing
is that
you're
fair in
doing
the
a-
Little Mermaid situation?
The Little Mermaid, absolutely not. The reason is so the reason for your first example is if I'm doing a biopic of a person, I am representing the person's life,
Okay.
right? Your representation, your physical representation is a Nigerian man.
Back to
If
being
Ryan
woke.
Gosling-
That's back to being woke. What if I identify? No, don't laugh at me. Let me land. What if I identify deep down in my heart as a white Caucasian six-pack
Sure.
looking guy?
Okay, sure. If your biopic, right, you start off born as a black man from Nigeria, and you're represented as a black man from Nigeria, and 13 years into your birth, you decide, I'm a Caucasian person, and as such, I want to be represented that way. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. They should change the description. But the Little Mermaid situation, the Little Mermaid is a cartoon.
Fair.
Based off of the location of the sea that she's in, she technically is black. But then again, it is a cartoon. It is like, it's not a real person that
matter,
is being represented. It doesn't matter. Anyone, if you can sing and wear fishtail on your leg, please go right ahead and act it.
Yeah. No, that's only fair. But again, I think it's a good way to end it. It's a totally open conversation. Whether you agree with him, whether you disagree with him, whether you think it's a great idea for him not to think that way, or whether you think he's diminishing the value of, because I feel like some people think that way by him saying that, it's kind of like diminishing the value of who he is as a black man, or diminishing the value of other black actors based on his status or his rank in the acting industry or whatever. But it's still an open conversation. You could agree, you could disagree with him, but I think that's about our 15 minutes. We passed it again.
Yeah, we passed it. Yeah.
But that's been Tales and Vibe, our short episodes. Till next time, you can follow us on Instagram at
Tales and Vibes. That is TALESNVIBES.
So next time, stay safe.